Hello everyone. Today we shall look into the connectors and how it works and how shall we connect the data to the Power Apps. With respect to connectors, connectors play a major role in enabling your apps to interact with external services and data sources. They act as bridges that allow you to connect your app with the various platforms, services and data repositories, facilitating data retrieval, storage and manipulation. Let us understand how many types of connectors are there. There are three types of connectors. One is the standard tier connectors, second one is the premium tier connectors, third one is the custom connectors which are included in the premium tier connectors. And here I have I'm showing you the links of connectors. Here if you look into the documentation, we have several connectors where you could see that there are standard connectors, premium connectors, preview connectors, production, power apps and other connectors. Suppose if we click into the standard connectors, here we could see all the list of standard connectors which are developed by the Microsoft. Okay, and the premium connectors or the custom connectors are the connectors which are developed by the third party clients or individuals in order to develop such connections with the multiple data sources. Okay, here if you click on this premium connectors in the left side, you could see various premium type tier connectors in the Microsoft documentation, like whether it is agile or whether it is any API related things or many sources you could connect. Even Amazon SQS you could connect. Okay, and if we move further and understand with respect to Power Apps how it works, in the previous video we have created this employee details application. Okay, where we take the input of first name, last name and a few employee details, and we have just created the submit button. Yesterday we didn't understand how it works. We shall see in a better way how to edit the form and submit it, and how to enter the new details, and we should connect it with the SharePoint by creating some metadata. Okay, what I could do is, this is the application which we have created in the previous video. I'll click on these three dots, I'll duplicate the screen. Okay, I could rename this as entry form new so that we could differentiate. Okay, this is our entry form new. What I would do is, I'll remove all these after creating a SharePoint list. So as we click on, this is the SharePoint. Okay, you could notice that I could create a site. Here I have created a site which is employee details. We could just click on the SharePoint. Here we can click on the create site. Okay, we'll select this team site. Okay, and we can click on the standard team. We could go and use a default template, and we could create a site. I have created the employee details site. If I open that, here you would be able to see the relevant information with respect to that. You could see the site contents which are defaultly listed in the details in the contents. Okay, here if you could notice, you have this new button. Click on new. Let us create a new list. I'll create a list. Let us take this blank list, and I'll give the list name as employee info. Okay, and you could give any description if you want, and you can just click on create. Once you click on this employee info, here you could see in the employee details site we have this employee info list. Now what we could do is, here we have the title column. Instead of title, I'll click on that, go to column settings, I'll rename it as employee ID. Okay, I'll click on save. So we have the first column as employee ID. I'll click on this add column. Here I'll choose the text data type. I'll click on next. Here in the right side, I'll type it as first name. It is a single line of text, and we could save it. Similarly, let us add the other columns with respect to the data types appropriately. Second column, I have my last name. I'll click on this next. Here I'll select last name, and it includes the single line of text. I'll click on save. I'll create the other column which is my full name. Okay, and it is also a single line of text. I'll click on save. Let us add the next column which is email ID. I'll select the text. I'll click on next and write email ID. Okay, I'll save. In the next column we have multiple choice options where we have to select the department. Okay, I'll choose the next. With the choice data type I have selected, and here in the name I'll provide as department, and in multiple choices I could provide HR, finance, marketing, and I could click a choice and I could add sales. These are 4 different departments, and we could either add add the values manually or choose the default value based upon the requirements. I'll select save. Okay, we are left with one more thing, which is joining date. Here we could select the date and time data type. Click on next. I'll write joining date. Okay, here you could include time. Since I don't have time related information, I'll leave it as no. Okay, data type is date and time. Whether if you want friendly format, you could turn it on, and you could give a default value if required. Here I'll click on save. Now I have all the necessary columns which are provided here in my SharePoint site. Okay, in my SharePoint site, which is employee details, I have a list of details called employee info with multiple columns here where I have provided the metadata. Okay, let us go to the Power Apps. Okay, here we have created a new entry form, right? What we can do is I'll select all these with my mouse holding control, and I'll just press delete. Okay, I just left this submit button, right? I'll just bring it to the bottom so that we could utilize it later. And here, instead of creating all those details manually, we have something called edit form in the insert button. Either you could select from the drop down on the top, or you can click on this plus button here on the left. Okay, here I'll click on this plus button. Here you have something called edit form. Once I bring this edit form into my screen, you could see that we have to connect it with the data. Otherwise, it will mention that this form isn't connected to any data yet. Once I open the right side form information, here in the properties I could see something called as data source. I can click on this data source. Okay, I could provide the information here, or what I could do is I can open the drop down. I can select my employee info table from here. Okay, additionally, the other way to connect the data is in the left side you have this third icon to add the data. Click on that icon. Okay, here a left pane will open where you could add the data. Suppose that I'll remove this connection. Okay, I'll click on this add data, and you could search for the source. I'll search for SharePoint. Okay, all the other connectors which you could see with diamond symbol, they are premium connectors, and others are the standard connectors. Here I'll click on the SharePoint. In the right side you'll get 2 options, whether using on-premises gateway or cloud services. I'll connect it with the cloud directly. Here I could either enter the SharePoint URL, or I could see the multiple sites which are present in my SharePoint site. I could see the employee details. I'll select on the employee details. Here I have employee info, the list which we have created, and we shall connect it. Okay, once we connect, here you could notice that we have employee info table connected as in the left side data pane you could see, right? If at all we duplicate this Power Apps, and I'll show you how that connectors works. I'll just save it. Here, if we could notice in the Power Apps, in the front screen, or you could say home screen, if you click on this more, and if you select this connections in the bottom, okay, as soon as I select the connections in the bottom, here it will show me all the necessary connections which are present in my Power Apps connections. Okay, if you want to add new connection, you can click on this new connection, and it will show me all the multiple various connections which I could make it possible, except premium connections because it requires higher tier license. Otherwise we could go with the standard sources. Okay, I hope you have understood. In the home tab, we could select the more, and we could choose the connections, and we could either add or remove the connections. Here, if we go to the Power Apps again, in the data source, if I click on the drop down, here we have connected the employee info list. Okay, and we can select the data source as employee info. Even using the formula bar, you could just type employee info. Both would function in a similar way. Now as soon as I type this employee info, here you could see that okay, I have received this edit form, right? Okay, here I have this title. By default it is mentioned. What you could do is we could select this title, go to advanced. Okay, you can unlock the properties, and you could rename as employee. In the formula bar, I'll write it as employee ID, right? Okay, I can save. Here if you notice, in my edit form, this attachment section is not properly visible. I can select it and reduce its size so that it could appear properly. Okay, here we have employee details application in a better way. Here we have employee ID. We have seen how to rename it. Go to advanced, click on unlock, and then we could edit in the formula bar. Here we have the first name, last name, and here we have the full name. Okay, let us run and see how it works. If I click on run, here you would not be able to see anything, right? So what we need to do is we need to add a button to create a new form. I'll click on this tree view. Okay, you'll be able to see all the details, whatever the data cards are created within the form you'll be able to see, and the buttons also you'll be able to see. Click on this insert. Let us insert a button which is present on the top. Okay, here we have this button. We can rename it. Go to properties, and in the text let us rename it as new form. Okay, here this is my new form button. On the top we have this on select property, right? Here in the formula bar, I'll write this new form. Okay, I'll open this new form. Here we need to provide form number, or you could say form 2, which the form which I have selected is called the form 2. Okay, how to identify it? If you select the form, go to tree view, you'll see this form name being selected, right? In order to customize it, you can write as form employee. Okay, or you could say form employees. Okay, I have renamed it. Let us get back to the new form button. Okay, this is my new form button. Here I'll write form employees. So this could help us in order to create a new form. Okay, let us run this. Here if I click on this new form, you'll be able to see that my details are now available. Now what I could do is I can type employee ID, suppose 101. Here first name is Pavan. Okay, last name is Sai. Okay, here earlier we used to get the concatenation with respect to the full name as soon as I type first name and last name, right? So what we need to do is, here I'll get back to the full name text input. I'll select the text input which is inside. Okay, I could see that in the form it is a data card value 12. If I click on this first name inside the text input, you could see that it is the data card value 10, and the last name, it is the data card value 11. So what I'll do is I'll just select the name of the data card value. I'll click on this full name text input, or you could say value input. I'll just in the default section on the top, in order to edit it, go to advanced on the right side, click on unlock. Once you unlock, you'll be able to edit it. Now here what I'll do is I'll write data card value 10 dot text, and since I need to concatenate, I'll put ampersand, with space, single quote space. I'll write ampersand. Okay, I'll write data card 11 dot text. Okay, these are two values where I could concatenate the first name and last name. Here you could notice that as soon as I entered the formula, my first name and last name is concatenated and updated. Okay, let us run this again. Here we have we are now able to concatenate. Now I can write my email, right? And here I could select the department from where I belong to. Here I can select the joining date. Make sure that you select the date and then click OK. Okay, you can attach any attachments if it is present here, and then you can click on submit. Now since I do not have any action for submit, what I need to do is I'll go back again. Okay, and what I need to do is here I'll click on the submit button, and on the top for the on select option, when I select it, I need to submit form. So what I'll do is I'll write submit form. I'll open the parenthesis. I'll select this form employees. Okay, this is the form which we have renamed it. For creating new form, it is new form employees. For submit form, it is submit form employees. Now I can click on save and I can just run it again. Now these details are entered, right? And I can just click on submit. As soon as I submit, the details will disappear. If I want new form or to enter new information, I can click on this new form. Again, I could enter the other employee details. If I go to the SharePoint, here initially we don't have any information, right? If I reload, the data will be saved into the cloud directly, like into the SharePoint list, I could say, which we have created as employee info. Here you could notice that my first row details which are taken from the input of Power Apps, now it is available. Okay, in this way we can create a form in a very basic way where we could enter multiple details and we can submit it. If we want new form, we can create the button and we can bring back the new form and use it. I hope this is understandable. Please practice and we shall understand the further things later in the next videos. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day.